Dear listeners, today's story is a highly emotional tale of a young girl who overcomes one of the strongest emotion, anger. Get ready to hear a story of determination, love, and the extraordinary power of perseverance. It will help you in your English speaking and listening practice. This story will leave you inspired, motivated, and emotional. Before we head into the story, one of the world's greatest gifts is the ability to change. And here we go. Part 1. The Fire SHE Learned to Carry. The first thing people noticed about Eliza Moore was her temper. Not the loud kind. She wasn't the girl who screamed in hallways or slammed doors for attention. Hers was quieter, sharper, a fire that burned inward before it ever escaped. In the small English town of Ashcombe, tucked between rolling fields and gray stone houses, everyone knew everyone. And in places like that, emotions didn't disappear, they echoed. Eliza was 14 when her anger first began to feel heavier than her school bag. Her mornings started the same way. Her father left early for work, boots by the door, words already spent. Her mother moved through the kitchen with tired efficiency, cups clinking, radio murmuring, emotions packed away neatly where they wouldn't spill. No shouting. No fighting. Just silence. The kind that teaches a child that feelings are inconvenient. Eliza learned early to swallow hers. At school, she was clever, sharp with words, quick with answers. Teachers liked her discipline but warned her about her attitude. She's bright, they said, but defensive. Defensive was a softer word for angry. When classmates teased her accent, her second-hand coat, her quiet lunch breaks, something inside her flared. She didn't cry, she didn't run. She stared. And the stare was worse. Anger, she discovered, could make you feel powerful when nothing else did. Her best friend, Macy, didn't understand it. You don't have to take everything so personally, Macy said once, chewing crisps on the school steps. Eliza shrugged. Someone has to care. But caring felt like bleeding. Anger felt like armor. At night, alone in her small bedroom, Eliza replayed conversations in her head, what she should have said, what she would say next time. Her jaw clenched even in sleep. No one had taught her how to let go, only how to hold on. The first time she realized anger was changing her was subtle. A teacher corrected her unfairly in class. The room laughed. Heat rose in her chest. Before she knew it, her voice cut through the air, cold, precise, brutal. The laughter stopped. So did the warmth in her teacher's eyes. Eliza won. And somehow she felt smaller. That evening, she overheard her parents arguing quietly in the kitchen. "We can't keep pretending she's fine," her mother whispered. "She's just like you," her father replied. "Keeps everything inside until it turns sharp." Eliza sat on the stairs, heart pounding. So this is what I am, she thought. Anger wasn't just an emotion. It was inheritance. She didn't know it yet, but this was the beginning of her greatest battle. Not with classmates, not with teachers, not with the world, but with the fire she carried everywhere and mistook it for strength. Part 2, When Anger Finds a Face. By the time Eliza turned 16, Ashcombe felt too small. Not in distance, but in possibility. Everyone knew who she was supposed to be before she had a chance to decide for herself. The clever girl, the quiet one, the moody one, the angry one. Anger had become familiar, like a coat she wore every day without noticing its weight. That year, a new student arrived. Theo Carter came from the city carrying confidence like it belonged to him. His accent was softer, his clothes newer, his laugh unafraid. He sat 2 rows behind Eliza in English. And somehow, he saw her. Not as the girl people avoided, but as someone worth looking at twice. It unsettled her. When Theo smiled at her, something inside Eliza tightened. Warmth felt dangerous. It required trust, and trust had always been punished with disappointment. So she did what anger had taught her. She pushed. Theo tried to talk to her after class. You're good with words, he said. You don't waste them. Eliza raised an eyebrow. That's a compliment. He laughed. I think so. She shrugged. I don't. She walked away before he could respond, pulse racing. Anger whispered, don't let him close. At home, nothing changed. Her parents still moved around each other carefully, like stepping around broken glass that no one wanted to acknowledge. Her father worked longer hours. Her mother smiled too politely. Love existed, but it was restrained, controlled, careful. Eliza absorbed the lesson. Feelings create damage. Distance keeps you safe. Her friendship with Macy began to strain. You don't talk anymore, Macy said one afternoon. You just judge. Eliza bristled. I'm honest. No, Macy replied softly. You're angry. The word landed harder than any insult. That night, Eliza lay awake, hatred creeping in quietly, not loud or explosive, but steady and sour. Hatred toward classmates who had it easier. Hatred toward teachers who misunderstood her. Hatred toward her parents' silence. And secretly, hatred toward herself. Anger fed it. And hatred made it feel permanent. Theo didn't give up easily. They began talking briefly at first, then longer. He listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't try to fix her. One evening, walking home together under gray skis, he said, You don't have to be sharp all the time. Her chest tightened. Yes, I do, she snapped. You don't know what happens if I'm not. Theo stopped walking. Then tell me, he said. She didn't. She couldn't. Instead, anger rose like a shield. Stop trying to be my hero, she said cruelly. Theo's face fell, not dramatically, quietly. And that hurt more than she expected. The next day, she overheard classmates mocking him, his accent, his city background. Something twisted inside her. Anger surged, but this time it wasn't protecting her. It was punishing him. She said nothing. And silence became its own form of violence. That was when Eliza first noticed something frightening. Anger didn't just keep pain out. It spread it. She went home and slammed her bedroom door, hands shaking. For the first time, a thought formed clearly. What if my anger is becoming who I am? The question scared her, because she didn't yet know how to live without it. Part 3, When Fire Turns Inward. Anger stopped feeling useful the day it stopped feeling controlled. Eliza noticed it first in her body. Her jaw hurt when she woke up. Her chest felt tight for no reason. Sleep came late and left early. Even on quiet days, her nerves stayed alert, like something terrible was always about to happen. Anger had promised strength. Instead, it delivered exhaustion. At school, things slipped. Not her grades, those stayed sharp. But her presence changed. Teachers hesitated before calling on her. Friends chose seats farther away. Even Macy spoke carefully now, like one wrong word might trigger something sharp. You're always on edge, Macy said one afternoon, frustration breaking through her kindness. It's like you're angry at the world for breathing. Eliza snapped back instantly. Maybe the world deserves it. The words echoed. They sounded wrong even as she said them. The breaking point came during a group project. Theo was assigned to her team. Neither of them spoke at first. Then a misunderstanding, small, stupid, ordinary, sparked something huge. You didn't tell me the deadline changed, Theo said quietly. You should have checked, Eliza replied, heat rising. I trusted you. The word trusted hit something raw. Anger exploded, not loud but precise and cutting. Don't put that on me, she said. If you fail, that's on you. The room went silent. Theo stared at her, not angry. Disappointed. That look shattered something. Later that day, Eliza was called into the headteacher's office. Complaints, concern, words like emotional regulation and behavioral pattern floated in the air. They weren't wrong. And that scared her more than punishment ever could. That night, alone in her room, Eliza felt something unfamiliar beneath the anger. Sadness. Not dramatic, not overwhelming. Just heavy. Anger had kept sadness buried for years. Now it surfaced, raw and aching. She pressed her forehead into her knees and cried, not because she was hurt, but because she was tired of hurting. Her mother knocked softly on the door. "I don't know how to help you," she said from the hallway, "but I see how much you're carrying." Eliza didn't respond. For the first time, she didn't know what anger was protecting her from. Over the next weeks, her health dipped. Headaches, stomach pain, a constant sense of unease. The school counselor suggested stress management. Eliza scoffed outwardly. Inside, fear crept in. Anger was no longer just emotional. It was physical. One evening, walking alone through the fields outside Ashcombe, Eliza stopped and screamed into the wind. Not words, just sound. When it faded, she stood shaking, empty. And in that emptiness, a realization landed hard. Anger is feeding on me. And worse, I don't know how to stop it. That was the moment hatred turned inward. And the fire she thought she controlled began to burn her instead. Part 4. Running does not extinguish fire. Eliza left Ashcombe at 18 with a single, desperate belief. If I change the place, I'll change the pain. The city welcomed her with noise, movement, anonymity. London felt endless, crowded streets, underground trains, people who didn't care who she had been. For a while it worked. No one knew her temper. No one expected anything from her. No one watched closely enough to judge. Anger rested. But it did not leave. University life demanded energy Eliza didn't have. Late nights, tight deadlines, competitive conversations disguised as friendship. Her anger returned, subtler now, smarter, woven into sarcasm and withdrawal. She was known as intense. Not unkind. Just unreachable. She called home less. When she did, her parents sounded the same, careful, polite, distant. Distance hadn't healed anything. It had only confirmed the pattern. Theo faded from her life quietly. No confrontation. No closure. Just silence. And in that silence, hatred hardened, not toward him but toward herself. She replayed moments endlessly, feeding anger with regret. Anger thrives on memory. Her body continued to protest. Insomnia, tight shoulders, a heaviness she couldn't name. One night, after snapping at a roommate over nothing, Eliza locked herself in the bathroom and slid down the wall. She stared at her reflection, eyes sharp, jaw tight. She looked strong. She felt broken. That was the night she searched. Why does anger feel uncontrollable? Article after article appeared. Stress, trauma, fear, unresolved grief. One line stopped her cold. Anger is often a shield for unexpressed pain. She closed her laptop. The room felt too quiet. In the weeks that followed, Eliza did something new. She noticed. Not fixed. Not judged. Noticed. The tightening in her chest before she snapped. The heat behind her eyes when she felt cornered. The urge to hurt before being hurt. Awareness felt weak at first. Then it felt brave. She started journaling, not poetically, not neatly. Just truth. I'm angry because I'm scared. I hate because I feel powerless. I don't know how to feel safely. Writing didn't cure her anger, but it slowed it. One evening, walking alone by the Thames, Eliza stopped watching the water and whispered, "I don't want to live like this." The words weren't dramatic. They were exhausted. And exhaustion, she discovered, was the doorway to change. She made an appointment with a therapist. The call took 3 tries. Her hand shook when she pressed confirm. This wasn't defeat. This was courage she had never been taught. For the first time, Eliza wasn't trying to outrun her anger. She was turning to face it. Part 5. The long road inside. Therapy was harder than Eliza imagined. Not because anyone judged her. Not because the exercises were difficult. Because for the first time, she had to feel without armor. Her therapist, Ms. Hawthorne, didn't offer advice at first. She asked questions. What triggers your anger? What are you protecting? What do you feel when it passes? At first, Eliza couldn't answer. She had spent years pretending her anger was power. Now, she had to admit it was pain. The first breakthrough came unexpectedly. A memory surfaced, school lunch tables, the teasing, the laughter she had swallowed. I hated them, Eliza whispered one afternoon. I hated how easy it seemed for them to live. And what about yourself? Ms. Hawthorne asked gently. Eliza froze. She didn't know. I hate me too, she said, voice trembling. Hatred, she learned, wasn't just for others. It had been stored inside her all along. Like a hidden room she never unlocked. Anger, she realized, was the lock. And love, compassion, forgiveness was the key. Outside therapy, life continued. Her university courses were demanding. Her friends tried to reach her. Some succeeded, most didn't. Theo's memory still haunted her, not as a desire, but as a reminder. Anger pushed away what mattered most. She started noticing patterns. The small flares before arguments. The bitterness in passing comments. The resentment that lingered long after a fight ended. Awareness alone wasn't enough. Action was needed. So she acted. Not dramatically. Not perfectly. But intentionally. She apologized to friends she had hurt. She forgave classmates she had hated. She acknowledged the pain her parents had unknowingly caused, and the pain she had caused herself. Each act felt fragile. Each act felt revolutionary. Romance entered slowly. Theo never returned, but someone new arrived in her city life. Jamie, a fellow student, noticed her careful eyes, her quick smile, the way she listened when he spoke. Eliza didn't trust easily. She didn't jump into love. She approached it cautiously, one conversation at a time. Anger still surfaced occasionally. Old habits die slowly. Some days were setbacks. But she practiced patience, awareness, discipline. Each flare became an opportunity to choose differently. By the end of her first year in the city, Eliza felt something she hadn't before. Moments of genuine peace. Not grand or eternal, just breathing without armor. She realized a truth that would stay with her forever. The true hero is not the one who conquers the world, but the one who conquers his own anger and hatred. Her journal entry one night summed it up. I am learning that anger is corrosive, hatred is a cage. Each day I have a choice. Each moment I can feed the fire or I can let it burn itself out. This is hard. This is slow, but it is freedom. Part 6, Transforming Fire into Light. Eliza's second year in the city brought challenges she hadn't anticipated. Crowded streets, stressful classes, people who expected confidence she didn't always feel. Anger still surfaced, but now she noticed it quicker. She learned to pause before reacting, sometimes only for a breath, sometimes for a full conversation. Her friendship circle grew tighter. Macy had moved away, but Eliza kept in touch through late-night calls. New friends, Sophie, Daniel, and Jamie, offered laughter, debates, and disagreements. She discovered she could disagree without erupting, argue without attacking. Even small victories, like laughing instead of snapping when Jamie teased her, felt monumental. Romance took its slow course. Jamie was gentle, persistent, and patient. He asked questions about her past, but never demanded answers she wasn't ready to give. The first time she caught herself getting irritated over something trivial, she paused and said, I'm sorry, that's me, not you. He smiled and took her hand. That's okay, we all have fire. For the first time, anger didn't have to push love away. At university, Eliza joined a student mentoring program. She discovered that helping younger students with stress and anxiety allowed her to redirect her fire. Her past pain, anger, hatred, frustration became a tool for empathy. One student, Leela, reminded her of her younger self, frustrated, overlooked, ready to lash out at the world. Eliza guided her patiently, saying, "You can feel the anger. It's okay. Just don't let it run your life." Seeing Leela calm and grow under her guidance felt like a light in Eliza's chest. The fire she once carried inward could now illuminate, not destroy. Even family life, though distant, softened. Phone calls with her parents became conversations instead of interrogations. She began understanding their flaws and her own. "I know I've held on to anger," she admitted to her mother one evening. Her mother's silence spoke volumes, then she whispered, "We all do, Liz. The trick is learning not to let it define you." Eliza realized her parents had done their best, and it was time to do hers, on herself. She journaled often. "Anger is corrosive, hatred a cage. Freedom is not the absence of fire, it is the choice to control the flame. I am learning, slowly, that patience and awareness are stronger than wrath." By now, small victories became milestones. She didn't scream, she didn't lash out, she didn't feel hatred toward those who wronged her. Instead, she practiced compassion, for others, for herself, for life. And the city, once overwhelming, began to feel like home. Eliza's fire had changed. Not gone, not tamed forcibly, but transformed. It now burned quietly, steadily, fueling love, empathy, and determination instead of destruction. Part 7, The Test of Fire. It was late autumn when the first real betrayal came. Eliza had grown comfortable in the city, trusting her small circle of friends. They had laughed together, studied together, shared late-night coffee and secrets. Until Daniel, someone she considered a close friend, crossed a line. Eliza discovered he had shared a personal story about her past, one she had trusted him with, during a casual party conversation. Rumors spread quickly. By morning, a quiet humiliation hovered over her like smoke. Her classmates whispered. Some laughed. Others looked at her differently. Anger ignited immediately. The instinct was familiar. To lash out. To retaliate. To make Daniel feel the same sting she felt. For a moment, she almost did. Then she paused. The fire inside her roared. Her hands shook. Her heart raced. But she remembered the months of therapy, journaling, and intentional practice. Anger was natural. Hatred was understandable. But revenge, letting her rage control her, would only make her small again. She chose awareness. She called Daniel into a quiet corner. "I'm hurt," she said calmly, voice steady but firm. "What you did was wrong, but I won't let this turn me into someone I don't want to be." Daniel's face went pale. He stammered apologies. She listened not to punish but to understand. By the end, the tension remained, but the fire didn't consume her. Later that night, she journaled. "The true hero is not the one who conquers others. It's the one who conquers their own anger and hatred. Today, I chose myself over my rage, and that choice feels more powerful than any revenge could." Eliza's experience spread further lessons. Anger may arise without warning, but it does not have to dictate action. Hatred may feel satisfying, but it leaves scars deeper than any insult. Awareness, patience, and conscious choice are the tools of mastery. Romance deepened too. Jamie supported her through the betrayal. His calm presence reminded her that love is strongest not when passion burns hottest, but when patience endures. They walked through rainy city streets, laughing quietly, hands intertwined. Eliza realized something vital. She could be deeply hurt, but not crushed. She could be angry, but not consumed. She could protect her heart without closing it. By the end of the semester, Eliza understood a deeper truth. Anger is a teacher, not a master. And mastery is not perfection. It is choice, moment by moment, breath by breath. Part 8, Reconciliation and Freedom. Spring arrived in the city, softening the harsh lines of concrete with warm sunlight and blossoms along the pavements. Eliza's parents came to visit. They hadn't been to London in years, and Eliza's apartment, small but cozy, suddenly felt alive with anticipation and nerves. Her mother hugged her tightly the moment she stepped inside. "I've missed this," she whispered. Her father, usually reserved, smiled softly. "You've grown, I see it." Eliza felt a familiar heat rise, something between pride and fear. Could she let herself feel joy without judgment? Could she embrace love without lingering anger? Over tea, they talked quietly. Her mother apologized for not recognizing her struggles sooner. Her father admitted he didn't know how to reach her when she was younger. Eliza listened, nodding. For a moment, the anger of years past stirred, but she caught it immediately. She chose awareness. She chose calm. Holding on to anger hurts only me, she thought. She spoke gently. "I understand now. We all did the best we could." No lecture, no blame, only acknowledgement. Later, walking with her parents along the Thames, Eliza realized that distance had changed them all. Not just physical distance, but emotional space that allowed healing to grow. Her heart, once locked behind a wall of fire, felt lighter. Friendships strengthened too. She spent time with Sophie, Jamie, and Leela, supporting, laughing, learning to navigate disagreements without letting anger fester. When a conflict arose among her friends, she mediated calmly, choosing dialogue over reactivity. The fire that once burned destructively now became warmth, guiding her through moments of tension. Eliza reflected on her journey. Anger and hatred had once felt protective, but they had only imprisoned her. Awareness, patience, and discipline were the keys to freedom. Conquering oneself, one's own negative emotions, was the truest form of heroism. She began helping younger students again, this time teaching emotional resilience and self-awareness. "You can feel anger," she told them. "It doesn't have to own you. Awareness is the first step. Choice is the second." Watching them absorb the lessons, she felt fulfillment deeper than any fleeting victory. By summer, London no longer felt overwhelming. Eliza walked freely, smiling at strangers, noticing small joys. A street musician's tune, the scent of flowers, the gentle warmth of the sun. Her anger had not disappeared, but it no longer ruled her. It had become a teacher, a signal, a reminder of what she once overcame. That night, writing in her journal, she summed it up. "The true hero is not one who defeats others. The true hero conquers their own anger and hatred. And in that victory, life becomes richer, love becomes deeper, and peace, finally, becomes P." Part 9, Mastering the Inner Flame. By the time Eliza turned 22, life in the city was no longer intimidating. It was a canvas. University was behind her. She had graduated with honors, and her work mentoring younger students continued to grow. Yet life still offered challenges, and each one tested her emotional mastery. One evening, her workplace organized a collaborative project with a competitive team. Her coworkers' egos clashed, ideas were dismissed abruptly, voices rose. In the past, Eliza might have snapped, retreated, or fueled the conflict. Instead, she paused. She listened. She acknowledged frustrations. She spoke calmly, clearly, without letting the fire inside her dictate her words. The tension didn't vanish. It didn't need to. But the fire that once consumed her became a guiding light. She influenced the outcome without losing herself. Romance with Jamie deepened, too. Arguments arose, minor misunderstandings, moments of jealousy, but now Eliza handled them differently. She noticed her rising anger. She breathed. She expressed herself honestly. "No need for blame," she told Jamie once. "I'm angry, but I choose to handle it calmly." He smiled, squeezing her hand. "You've changed so much. I see you now fully." And she was fully herself. No armor, no shields, only honesty and self-awareness. Visits to Ashcombe became opportunities for reflection. Her younger cousins looked up to her, curious about city life, about how she handled challenges, about how she seemed so peaceful. Eliza shared her story carefully, not as a sermon, but as lived experience. Anger is natural, hatred is natural, but you can choose how they shape you. She spoke of patience, discipline, and awareness, practical tools for mastering emotions rather than letting them master you. Life taught her more lessons. Negative emotions are signals, not commands. Anger is temporary, consequences are lasting. Conquering yourself is the most courageous act a person can perform. Peace doesn't come from circumstances, it comes from choice. Eliza also discovered the unexpected power of gratitude. She wrote letters she never sent, thanking those who had hurt her, not to excuse them, but to release the weight of resentment. She forgave herself for mistakes, misjudgments, and the anger she once carried so heavily. And she felt lighter than ever before. Walking through the city one evening, past glowing street lamps and soft chatter of cafes, Eliza realized her fire had not been extinguished. It had been transformed. It was no longer destructive. It was alive in a new way, warmth, light, and guidance. She thought of every difficult moment, classroom humiliation, betrayal, heartbreak, loneliness, and understood the truth deeply. The true hero is not the strongest, the loudest, or the most feared. The true hero is the one who conquers the fire within, the anger, the hatred, the fear, and chooses love, patience, and understanding instead. Part 10. The Hero She Became. Years had passed. Eliza Moore walked through the streets of London with a calm that had once seemed impossible. The girl who carried fire in her chest, who lashed out at pain, who held hatred as armor, she was no longer that person. She still felt anger, still encountered injustice, still faced moments of frustration. But now she recognized it as a signal, not a sentence. She lived fully, without letting her emotions control her. At work, she guided teams with patience. Her words encouraged, clarified, and healed rather than blaming or punishing. At home, her relationships with her parents and family deepened, built on understanding rather than expectation. In love with Jamie, she experienced intimacy that came not from passion alone, but from mutual respect, awareness, and honesty. Eliza often reflected on her journey. She remembered small Ashcombe, the teasing classmates, the strict teachers, the silence at home. She remembered anger as a constant companion, hatred as a quiet jailer. And she understood this clearly. Anger is corrosive, but awareness is liberating. Hatred is a cage, but patience is freedom. True heroism is mastering yourself, not defeating others. One rainy evening, walking along the Thames with Jamie's hand in hers, she thought of the young girl she had been, fearful, sharp, trapped in fire. And she whispered quietly to herself, "I've carried the fire, and now it lights my way." She began mentoring young students in emotional intelligence, teaching them not only academics, but life lessons she had learned the hard way. To recognize anger without being ruled by it. To practice patience and discipline. To forgive themselves and others. To choose love and understanding over fear and hatred. Through her life, she discovered something profound. Anger and hatred are universal, they touch us all, but their presence does not define the person. It is the choice to confront, understand, and transform these emotions that defines the true hero. Eliza's final realization, simple yet revolutionary. The fire inside me was never my enemy. It was my teacher. I learned to listen, not fight, to transform, not destroy. And in that I found freedom, peace, and the courage to live fully. She looked at the city lights reflecting on the Thames, smiling softly. The girl who once believed anger was strength now knew. True strength is love, patience, and mastery over oneself. And in that mastery, life felt limitless, light-filled, and profoundly beautiful. The end. Thank you for listening to the story. Hope you liked it. To keep listening to such wonderful and inspiring stories, like the video and subscribe to our channel to support us, and listen to a new story every day.